What attributes would you use if you were building the perfect Texas running back? And we're not talking about just the running backs on the 2026 roster, the all-time great Longhorn running backs. We're going to try to basically build a robo running back in burnt orange. We'll do that on this latest edition of On Texas Football. I'm Jeff Howe, joined by CJ Vogel and Rod Babers. This edition of On Texas Football is brought to you by PrizePicks. So, gentlemen, as we build basically robo running back, Bevo robo running back, we've got 6 categories that we're going to look at. We're going to get vision, speed, agility, power, frame, and the X factor. Rod, you've dubbed it the X-Men ability. So any kind of secret ingredient that we haven't gotten to, we'll get to the end. So we'll start with vision. Guys, there have been some Longhorn running backs that have great vision. Rod, I'll start with you. Think of all the great Longhorn running backs and the ones that have had great vision. Who has the best vision that we're going to put in this serum to inject our lab running back with?
Yeah, I feel like vision is one of those things where there are probably 3 or 4 different running backs you probably could mention here that had really good vision. And I'm gonna go with somebody that I'm close to, that I was close to, that I played with. I'm gonna go with Sid B. I'm gonna go with Sid Benson. Had great vision to allow blocks to develop. Played old school with a fullback, so a lot of folks can't even recognize playing with a fullback. But I know, because I played with the guy, had really good vision for the cutback. That's why I used to love with Sid B. Used to hit that cutback with great vision too. And there were times I still can remember him, with great vision, almost setting up defenders on the second level with his vision. So I'm gonna go Sid B, the late Sid B. Shout out R.I.P. But I'm gonna go with Sid B in the vision just because I remember watching it myself.
CJ, I don't want to go recency bias here, and I love Cedric Benson. There's a lot of things I love about Cedric Benson, but a guy I compared him to coming out of high school, there's a lot of Bijan Robinson in a weird way that reminded me of Cedric Benson. And the vision, CJ, was one of those things. I don't know if you're thinking Bijan or you're going somewhere else, but that's kind of where I was thinking with vision.
Selfishly, I thought Bijan for most of these, right? That he's pretty darn close to what is the modern perfect running back. But for the sake of finding a running back for each of these skills, I went Deontay Foreman, and I don't know. I think for the most part, you're going to see a lot of new age running backs from me, right? These are just the guys that I remember watching the most. I remember a lot of really long, lengthy runs that stemmed from cutbacks and finding that open sliver where plays kind of trending and flowing one direction, and all of a sudden you see him squeak out the backside and go for a lengthy run. 2,028 yards, obviously the Doak Walker 15 touchdowns. A lot of that stemmed from finding the vision, finding holes, and then getting into that second level. So I don't know if it's going to be the most popular pick, but it's one that I sat there and said, I just remember him cutting back a lot, and a lot of that stems from vision. So Deontay Foreman is my guy.
Yeah, I love that.
Rod, if there's a counterpoint and look, Rod, you and I, we are hashtag Team Foreman always and forever. But if there's a counterpoint to Deontay, it's that, hey, to an extent, that veer and shoot offense creates some natural running lanes, especially Sterling Gilbert was running the purest form of that Art Briles offense. And it naturally, because of the stress it puts on you horizontally with the splits and then vertically with the passing game. I'm not taking anything away from Deontay's 2,000-yard season, but the veer and shoot, it was a great asset for him.
I totally agree with you. He maximized it though, right? He maximized that scheme and almost was a perfect weapon with that veer and shoot scheme. But I agree with CJ because I had him here. He was my second guy with the vision. He was my second running back with vision. I had Sedby and I had Deontay. So because I remember also those cutback lanes too. He was a big back that had small back qualities. I remember that about him.
You know what? For the sake of let's just make a pick. Yeah, we'll go with Deontay Foreman for vision. I wanted Deontay Foreman somewhere on here if we could fit him in. We're still right at the top with the vision. Why not? Gentlemen, the second one is speed. And I'll put my pick down on the table. CJ, I'll start with you. I think if y'all are going anybody but Jamal Charles here, you're crazy. You talk about long speed for a Texas running back. Everybody remembers the run against Oklahoma, but the one I'll never forget is the run in 2007 against Nebraska at home, where he's kind of running like a wide zone. It's like, oh, they got him hemmed in, and it's like 9 guys have an angle on him, and he just sticks a foot in the ground and just boom, gets vertical for like an 86-yard touchdown. CJ, I don't know if you got another pick, but I think I'm gonna stand on the table for this one with Jamal Charles.
Now, won't hear any disagreements from me. Jamal Charles was the first name I had written down on my sheet, and it's the quickness. How quickly he gets to top speed, I think, is when watching some of those runs back. You sit there and go, "Oh, okay, like that's a different level." You look like an NFL running back playing against college athletes at the time. I will say this, and for folks at home who are saying, "Well, shouldn't Jaden Blue get some mention?" They did run the same 40 time, but I do think there was a different level of the eye test. Just watching these guys get to top speed, Jamal and his quickness, both in cuts and getting to top speed, I think I go with him 100%.
Yeah, Rod, you could just look at play speed. I mean, Ricky's in the conversation because Ricky could break long runs, and I think had underrated speed. A guy that you played with, Rod, pre-injury, Selvin Young could fly.
Oh, he could go. Yeah, he could go.
But I mean, I don't know. I again, when we're talking about speed, we can mix and match guys, but I think Jamal Charles, Port Arthur's finest, is the way to go here.
Yeah, that's actually not much debate here. Like I said, there are some guys worthy of being in the conversation, but no, you're right. It's Jamal Charles just because he passed the eye test, and actually we have the documented proof of it. And when he got to the NFL, it was the same thing. He was leaving them dudes in the dust too. So I'm gonna see you on that one. That was easy.
This is the most interesting category for me, is agility, and I'm gonna appease the old school Longhorn football fans with my pick, so I'll holster that one. Rod, I'll start with you. When you think of agility for all-time great Texas running backs, who's the first one that comes to your mind?
Honestly, this is the one I'm going to give to Bijan. The agility, the contact balance, however you want to describe. Footwork is another thing. You kind of throw all that in there. I think his footwork was just so fantastic. I mean, it was tremendous. There's like no wasted foot. It was almost like he knew what the defender was going to do and could anticipate and adjust his footwork accordingly. He was on a different level with the footwork, the agility. And so I throw all that in kind of the same boat with Bijan. I think he's the best there. And I think it helps his contact balance too. That footwork, because he was always in a position to be able to kind of use that, whatever the defender, however they hit him, however they decided to apply that contact, he would almost be able to use that to balance himself and keep himself upright. It is the freakiest of freaky things, that type of agility and, like I said, footwork that Bijan had.
Yeah, CJ, to Rod's point, I think in football now, especially college football, when we talk about PFF numbers, I think Bijan is the reason why now we look at missed tackles forced, because in his career, the first guy is never bringing him down.
Never.
No, never. And this might sound a little crazy. I don't know if it is, but when we were going through the traits that we wanted to do for this video, and I saw agility, that was the first thing I filled out. Bijan Robinson, 100%. Rod, you talked about it. He's very swift with his feet. This is going to be a bit of an awkward comparison here, but the same way it looks poetic and almost effortless for Kyrie Irving to kind of drive through the paint, that's what it looks like for Bijan Robinson to, get through the line of scrimmage. And then, of course, there's always some extra flair, right? You got the spin on the ball going through the hoop. Bijan, it's the footwork, it's the brush off ability. It's always the way that he never looks like he's out of control, which is remarkable considering the level in which he was playing at Texas. But no, Bijan for me in balance or in agility, just being able to get where he needed to go without question, my pick. That was one of the easier ones in my eyes.
He's got one of those freaky bodies. You go back to his freshman year when he went over the top and had kind of that scorpion landing in Lubbock against Texas.
Oh yeah.
I think the two human beings are genetic freaks. The two guys I've seen do that, I saw Bijan Robinson do it on a football field and Brock Lesnar do it in a wrestling ring. And I think those are the only two guys I think on earth that could sustain a fall like that and in theory be quote unquote fine. We're going to go Bijan with the agility, but I said I wanted to go old school. I just want to give an honorable mention shout out to Chris Gilbert. I wanted to find somebody that associated with those wishbone teams, those great running teams. And I remember one time, actually, we were talking about Cedric Benson, Rod, and we're talking about Cedric Benson. We're talking about Jamal Charles too. Bill Bradley and I, when Super Bill was the defensive coordinator at Baylor, and I got to know him a little bit. And a legendary lifetime Longhorn, a good guy. And he was talking about agility, and he said, and he started talking about Chris Gilbert. He said, sometimes you can take a cat and drop him off. It doesn't matter. You can drop him out of a tree or wherever. You can drop that cat however high you're going to drop him. And it looks like he's going to fall awkwardly, and he somehow managed to land on his feet. He said that was Chris Gilbert running the football. No matter how hard he gets hit or what's going to happen, he's going to land on his feet and he's going to be fine. So shout out to Chris Gilbert and shout out to the Darrell Royal Wishbone team. So just wanted to make sure I threw that in there just to give a little tip of the cap. Power is up next. So we've got Deontay Foreman's vision, Jamal Charles' speed, John Robinson's agility, power. Rod, you can go one of the two all-time greats, or there are some other backs that aren't that ran with a lot of power. So Rod, I'll let you go first. Who are you thinking of when you think about power?
Yeah, I mean, there are some guys that ran. I mean, recently Rojo was considered a power back at Texas, a really damn good one, right? Really good power back. Deontay Foreman could be in that conversation. He was a really good power back. But I mean, if you're talking about power, I mean, the Earl Campbell's the GOAT, and so I love Earl Campbell twice. I'm a lovely blue guy from the Oiler days, and also I've obviously a lifetime Longhorn. So there is no doubt. I mean, this is a guy. I always throw it out there that people don't realize that Ricky Williams has more rushing yards than Earl Campbell. Right? Earl Campbell made the Hall of Fame not because of his stats. He made it purely on the eye test. The human beings that sat down at that table and voted for Earl Campbell saw him and said, no other human being other than Jim Brown has run the football with as much like demonstrative power as Earl Campbell. And that I think it stands out even to this day, that running style of Earl Campbell. When you're thinking about him, like really like putting his helmet and spearing a defensive player, which is something that you don't even hear about these days. Are you talking about him, meeting guys on the goal line? He personifies if Bevo was running the football. That he would run it like Earl Campbell ran it. So Earl Campbell and power, they are synonymous. And there's no doubt. I mean, there are other guys that can be worthy of the conversation, but nobody is the GOAT of running the football with more power than Earl Campbell.
One of the legendary quotes attributed to Coach Royal was when Earl ran, snot flew. And like his legs, like it's going to sound weird to talk about, but if you look at like a running back's glutes and legs, you're like, oh, he had legs like tree trunks. Like, no, go look at Earl Campbell's thighs. Like they really did look like big old stumps, and like good luck tackling him one-on-one. CJ, you thinking Earl Campbell, or you thinking anybody else for power?
No, I might have lied with my last pick saying Bijan for agility was the easiest one. Rod, Jeff, I mean, it's Earl Campbell, right? So, and look, I know I wasn't around to watch him live, but you watch any of the highlights from his time at Texas, his time in the NFL, there's a reason why he was the 77 Heisman, 1991 Hall of Fame class. And that's very quickly after his playing days. The playing GIF or the GIF, the video, the highlight, whatever you want to call it, of him just carrying a guy 5 yards into the end zone and basically Hulk slamming him. No one does that these days. It's one of the greatest highlights you'll find in college football, and it just is pure definition of power. This was a pretty easy pick too.
I'm disappointed I didn't get to see Earl in his prime, because going back and watching the tape, talking to people, reading up on Earl's career, Earl Campbell's like the Stone Cold Steve Austin of NFL running backs. The shelf life was a lot shorter than you would think, but the lore and the legend and the numbers and the respect people have for him far outweighs what you look at just on paper for the rest. So yes, Earl Campbell definitely left that impression. Guys, we got two more to get to. I want to get to this one, and we'll save X Factor for the end. But when we talk about power, again, tip of the cap, because Rod, the first few memories I have of watching Texas football, I remember Butch Hadnot in short yardage and on the goal line.
Oh, yeah.
It just, that's about as old school can get, where you're just putting in his belly, hey, just go, forget trying to run around it. Just go run through somebody. And Butch Hadnot Butch Hadnot was not at Texas very long, but just the power. There was a violence Butch Hadnot ran with that's really hard to describe unless you saw it. Yeah.
That power, that's probably how it should be described in terms of the style. It is a violent style with old school guys like Earl Campbell, the Butch Hadnots of the world. When I got to Texas had just started to kind of transition away from like all power guys. Like Hodges Mitchell was my running back. He was a beast, but he was a smaller running back. And then, you got a different build and structure with a guy like Sid Benson. But there is no doubt, man, I'm with you. It's like a Southwest Conference feel, where it was all about violence and all about intimidation and guys ran like they was mad at the grass.
CJ, our next category is frame. Where are you at on frame for a Longhorn running back? Basically, we're injecting this serum for robo running back. We're injecting it into a body. So whose body are we injecting it to?
It took everything in me to not say Chris Warren, a 6'2", 250-pound guy that I could just give all of these traits to and say good luck tackling. But I went a different direction. And it was the first real spring that I started covering the team. It was the first time I saw a college backup close and in person like this at a practice, where I sat there and said, whoa, okay, that looks a little different. It stuck with me ever since. It's Kurt Johnson.
Wow.
And I know it's a crazy pick, but it's the just bold calves, great lower body, broad shoulders. It looked like what I thought a college back would look like, and it's always kind of stuck with me. And I don't know if it's just because that running back room at the time was so thin and so that like no one else could compare. But he was 6 foot, 215, 220 on a good day. And that lower body just looked fantastic to me. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be something that a lot of folks sit there and say, God, really?
Wow.
I
like it.
Very defined.
I see where you're going with it. And, Rod, I guess this is one where it can be a case of beauty in the eye of the beholder, because he wouldn't be my pick. Man, and I'm not talking about Kirk Johnson, CJ, but, my pick, I wouldn't pick Priest Holmes. But if you just look at a guy that, to me, it was almost beautiful to watch him run the football, just because it wasn't like Priest was just yoked up. There was just the slickness, the smoothness about him.
Mm-hmm.
Priest Holmes is another one of those frames that, again, like I thought would be perfect. Because at that point you're taking away Priest's injuries and you're saying, hey, we're gonna give you great speed, vision. I've got a guy that could probably go to the NFL and rush for 20,000 yards if I put all that in Priest Holmes' body. Rod, when you think about the frame, the body, CJ's going with Kirk Johnson. I'm not going with Priest Holmes. I want to hear who you're going with.
It's hard. I gotta go Ricky on this one. I gotta go Ricky. I mean, he's 5'11", 230. I mean, built like that, 5'11", 230. That means he's always the center of gravity is fantastic. That means he can get lower to low pad level wins with you too.
Yeah.
And he had a ton of. He could have been that power conversation. He ain't gonna be better than Earl, but also that's a lot of power coming at you with speed. So that frame, that Ricky Williams frame, because it was so compact, and you know what I mean. Like it's hard to bring that. It was all muscle. Like I didn't really have room for fat the way he was built and constructed. Yeah. So to me, that's the frame that I fear. If I would have been out there looking at that dude with the, he had the visor and everything out there, he had the dreads out the back, and he's just walking around looking like a Marvel character out there on the football field, man. I'm thinking to myself, damn, I don't want to see him on that outside zone. I don't want to see him on that sweep. I'm hoping that the Calvary, them linebackers and safeties, they get there before Rod B have to get there and meet Ricky Williams on the edge. You know what I mean?
You don't want to see him in the fourth quarter, that's for sure.
Oh, hell no. I'll be honest, that I do not want to see Ricky Williams in the fourth quarter.
No, if we're building a cyborg running back, I want his body to be Ricky Williams. And for like what you said, Rod, I want the visor, the dread sticking out of the back of the helmet. I want the whole deal. Here's something else about Ricky. And, CJ, I know you're younger than Rod and I, and Rod was getting recruited by Texas at the time Ricky was doing his thing and setting records. But it was really weird to me, Rod. Like you said, you're talking about Ricky's body type as just kind of wound as tight as he was.
Yeah.
Just physical in college. And look, there may be a Kansas State fan or an A&M fan that can pull tape and prove me wrong. As violent as he ran, I never saw anybody just get square up and get a clean shot at Ricky. I never saw it.
No, that's a good point. That's a great. I'm sure it's out. I'm sure it happened.
Yeah,
but I can't recall it either. You're right. That he had that violent twitch with that kind of build, and I'm with you. Like that's. And to me, like, go look at his lower body. Like, I mean, I don't want to talk about another man. Like, just go look at his butt. Like, you know what I mean? Like his thighs and everything. Like it is. It's just all muscle, and he was stout, like he was just he was stacked to say that about a running back, but he was. And like I said, that kind of build is just hard to bring down because it's all muscle. I mean, who tackled Ricky Williams one-on-one? We always talk about Bijan because of agility. I don't remember many people getting Ricky one-on-one and getting him down. I guess it's hard to bring a human being built like that down to the ground by yourself.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I'll say about Ricky too, and we're gonna talk X factor here in a second, which is gonna be fun. Bucky Gobble, Rod, one of our mentors, Ricky's running back coach at Texas. And of all the great games he coached Ricky in or watched Ricky in, he said, the game I was most proud of Ricky was the Big 12 championship game against Nebraska. I'm like, well, he hardly touched the ball that game. And he said, yeah, go back and watch the job Ricky did blocking Grant Wistrom. And that was the time where, man, to beat Nebraska, you had to stick your face in there and be physical. And Ricky, as a lead blocker for Priest and Sean Mitchell, like if you go back and watch that 96 Big 12 championship game, like, man, he put his body on the line and did it with, just, hey, this is what I've got to do today to help us win. There are very few superstar college football players that love their school as much as Ricky Williams loves the University of Texas. So again, that's just another for Ricky. Yeah. We'll get to the X factor here in just a second, but before we do that, I want to remind everybody that this edition of On Texas Football is brought to you by PrizePicks. The calendar's flipped to May. We're right in the middle of it. The weather's great. Everything's rolling, and PrizePicks adds more fun when you're watching your favorite sports this month. Every possession, every at-bat, every shot, every pitch, it all matters. You're locked in from start to finish. You're just not watching anymore. You got some juice on it, and there's a chance you can cash in with PrizePicks. And the best part about PrizePicks is it's easy. You don't need to do any kind of deep dive with stats. You're just picking more or less on player stats. It's all you got to do. Points, rebounds, hits, strikeouts, whatever you're already watching, you build your lineup, you submit it, and you're good to go. It takes about a minute to do that. And you've got options all over the place. You got basketball, baseball, hockey, golf. You can stick to one of those sports and let it ride, or mix and match across multiple sports. Whatever's on your TV, it's going to work with PrizePicks. You just trust your gut. You lock it in. Now, every single moment actually means something. PrizePicks is available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now is the time. You download the PrizePicks app, use the code HMA, play $5, and you'll get $50 in lineups instantly. Again, the code HMA, 5 get you 50. It's that simple when you download the PrizePicks app. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, play PrizePicks. All right, Rod, I know you're rubbing your hands together. We got the X factor, and this is to finish off our Longhorn Robo running back. You just pick a quality, and we're just going to insert it and go. I'm Rod's telling me a bit, but CJ, I'll start with you. When you think about that missing ingredient, what's that one thing that you want to add to finish off our cyborg running back?
I went out of left field again with this one. It's not popular. I don't think anybody at home is sitting here thinking this is where I'm going to go. It's pass protection from Roschon Johnson.
Wow.
Okay.
If we're building the most complete running back and we have vision, speed, agility, power, and frame, the only thing missing in today's modern age of football is being able to stay on the field and pass protect. I know a lot of folks are going to sit there and say, why not the hands, right? Bijan had great hands. Roschon had great hands. Charles, great hands. I understand that. Today, a lot of these running backs have great hands. Not a lot of these running backs can pass protect. Roschon Johnson was very good at it. One of the best I've ever seen.
Now, to your point, CJ, if you're looking at just intangibles, like I just mentioned it a minute ago with Ricky as a blocker, like if you're just looking at, hey, who could I add just their intangibles, their football character, their leadership, their selflessness, of any running back that's ever played at Texas, you can make the argument you take Rojo, because how many guys, especially in this day and age, and that was 2019 when Roschon was a freshman, how many guys would be recruited as a quarterback and be told right off the bat in your college career, hey, we need you to go play running back, and just do it willingly without really thinking twice about it? Like, that's, to me, he's the ultimate teammate to me. So, I definitely get what you're saying, CJ, 100%. Rod, what's that missing ingredient, that X factor, that X-Man ability we haven't covered yet that you want to add here?
But that's good, though. I just got to throw out to CJ. That's money right there, man. And, a guy that didn't hit the transfer portal is a team guy. Love that Rojo pick for the pass pro. He's right about the hands, because Sark's big on running backs in the passing game, and a lot of these guys had good hands. So I'm going to stay with the theme of the hands, but I'm going to go more with versatility. I need a running back that's versatile, especially in today's modern football. I need somebody that can move around, hunt matchups, find the weakness in defense. Excuse me. So I'm gonna go with Eric Metcalf.
I knew that's where you were going. I had a hunch that's where you were going.
Yeah, it was almost Ramones. Shout out to my man Ramones. He was right there. It was gonna be him or Eric Metcalf. But I mean, Eric Metcalf played running back in college, went to the league. Dude ended up playing receiver in the league as well as running back in the league. Hands were fantastic. Guy could return punts. I mean, he was just a hell of a football player who ended up, playing running back or receiver, depending on the situation. So, yeah, I'm going versatility. Sark loves versatility. Remember, he used to put Bijan in the slot a lot of times. He put Jaden Blue out there in the slot, try to find a matchup that he liked. With Eric Metcalf in today's football, he'd be Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey. That's what he would be.
He'd be Christian McCaffrey, one of them dudes. Exactly.
Yeah. No, Rod, you had the stat for forever that you and I talked about. I mean, that 40-40 club where you could have 40 receptions, 40 rushing attempts. I think Trey Wisner.
It was before Trey Wisner and Jaden Blue. It was just Chris Obanaya and Eric Metcalf who were in that club, that 30-40 club. At least I think it's at least 30 rushes, at least 30 rushes and 40 receptions.
And I think Eric Metcalf did it like 3 times.
He did it multiple times. Chris Obanaya did it in 2008, but then now with all the games and with Sark loving running backs in the passing game, they do it. They'll get multiple.
You always got to put a cap on it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like before this time, it meant something.
Yeah.
CJ, the thing I thought out about Eric Metcalf too. I know you weren't around for the prime of Eric Metcalf's football career. As Rod said, one of the greatest return men we've ever seen in football.
Yeah.
CJ, the best way I could describe it, because Eric Metcalf, Rod, was a borderline like Olympic quality long jumper too. Basically, if you take Marquise Goodwin and give him some running back instincts, you'd have That's Eric Metcalf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty good pick, Rod.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, it's good pick.
Man, I was gonna go Eric Metcalf, but since we haven't used him, we talked about him with vision. I would say just the natural running ability. And look, we got some great natural runners, right? Like Bijan and we talk about Ricky. But man, even including Ricky and Earl, and this is the tape I've seen from Earl, in my lifetime live watching college football, of all the Texas running backs I've ever seen, and Rod, a guy you played with, I never saw anybody that had a knack for short yardage, goal line, red zone running like Cedric Benson did.
Yeah.
Just had hey, it's 4th and 1. It doesn't matter what look they're giving you, where they're slanting the front, where they're bringing pressure from. Cedric Benson's going to convert that first down. He's going to get that touchdown. He's going to keep the chains moving. It's again, Rod, the things I think that make these all-time Texas running backs special is I keep going back to it. Unless you were there to watch it, it's really hard to describe. And I don't know, like the way kind of late career Marcus Allen was in the NFL, where it's like he just became like a goal line short yardage runner. To me, that was said be at Texas. Like, okay, hey, if you get inside the 5, 7 points is automatic. That's why I've said when we've done this question in the past, like, hey, if you could add one person to Sark's offense, who would you add? Would you have Roy Williams? Like, no, as much red zone problems as you have, give me Cedric Benson, and that solves your red zone problems.
That's a great point, bro. And the Marcus Allen thing is weird. It's crazy you bring that up, because now when I look and I can kind of visualize Marcus Allen, I remember that lean.
Yeah.
He had a fantastic runner's lean. Remember that Marcus Allen runner's lean? You can see it on those goal line short yard situations. And Ced B's runner's lean, I even wrote it down here, actually, some of my notes. He had the best runner's lean of any. And that a guy that had he would always fall forward, but he was always leaning forward too, and still be able to make precise cuts while leaning forward. So, I was like, how's he balanced when he's leaning forward like that and still be able to make like a precise cut, like you said, to get from this gap to that gap? You know what I mean? He would do it. It was uncanny, actually. And I can see it, and I can see Marcus Allen kind of having that same runner's lean. It's kind of weird you bring that comparison.
Yeah. So basically, CJ, if we combine Eric Metcalf's versatility, Cedric Benson's kind of running instincts in short yardage and goal line, and Roschon's intangibles and his toughness and his blocking ability, like, with all due respect to the all-time greats who mentioned, we take those 3 things and we build a pretty damn unstoppable running back.
That's
man,
easy.
Imagine plugging and playing that into the modern offense today, and I mean, you'd be walking to New York for the Heisman ceremony, the Doak, whatever it was. I mean, that would just be with the weapons Texas now has on the outside as well. If you plug them into this offense, light boxes all day long, good luck. That would be fun. And
Rod, to finish this off, I think as we've done this exercise, the thing that stood out to me, there's a reason why the running back standard at Texas has always and always should be sky high.
Yeah, I mean, we got great running backs, guys drafted NFL didn't even get mentioned. Guys like Jonathan Brooks, guys who didn't even get mentioned. I had to throw out my man Hodges Mitchell out there just to get some love. But that's how deep it is, and that tradition is at Texas at the running back position. And I think somebody remember Sark, he was big on getting back to some. And you let decent running backs walk. Or you let a Trey Wiseman guy who ran for 1,000 yards walk because you wanted to upgrade at the running back position. And so we'll see if this season Sark gets back to what he likes at the running back position, which is explosive plays and really just kind of a streak recently that has been one of the best in the country at producing NFL running backs. I mean, they've been in that conversation since Sark got here.
All right. Very, very fun conversation. Rod, CJ, thank you guys for the knowledge, the intel, the expertise as always. Big thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for producing it, the MVP at On Texas Football, doing what he does. If you're not a member over at ontexasfootball.com, you still have time to get over to the site and take advantage of our spring sale. Just use the promo code OTFOG and become an OTFOG and get 1 year of access at ontexasfootball.com for just $39.95. Make sure that you like this video, that you're subscribed to the On Texas Football YouTube channel, and that you've got those notifications set so that way anytime we go live or drop a new video, you're not missing any of our Longhorn coverage or breaking news. For Rod, for CJ, for Matthew, for the entire On Texas Football staff, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until next time, hook 'em.
Come on.
Hey guys, Blake Monroe here from Coffee and Football. YouTube thinks that you're going to like this video right here. And if the algorithm knows ball, it's a good one. So go check it out. And then don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button.